What if I told you that a disease older than humanity still kills over 1 million people each year? What if I told you it's curable? And what if I told you we've chosen to let it kill? Everything Is Tuberculosis isn't just a book about a disease. It's about history, injustice, family, systems, faith, and the maddening, enduring fragility of the human body. James Watt, the man behind the steam engine, tried to save his son Gregory from a mysterious wasting disease. He failed. A century later, John Green's great-uncle Stokes would also die of tuberculosis, despite the best medical care of his time. We are powerful enough to orbit the Earth, but we cannot save those we love from suffering. Tuberculosis has haunted John Green's family and our history for generations. And it's not just personal. In 19th century Europe, TB became oddly romanticized. It was called consumption and associated with pale, delicate artists wasting away poetically. Dying of TB became fashionable, until it wasn't. Green first met Henry, a small, joyful boy in Sierra Leone, while visiting a TB hospital. Only later did he learn Henry was not 9, but 17. His body was ravaged by tuberculosis and lifelong malnutrition. He said, "I am happy, sir. I am encouraged." Who wouldn't love that word? Henry's story, his courage, his hunger, his hope, haunts the rest of the book. Green admits he still thinks of Henry when he eats, when he has a headache, when he can afford care that others die waiting for. Tuberculosis gave us cowboy hats. Yes, really. In the 1800s, TB patients were advised to move to dry, arid climates. The American Southwest became a destination, particularly New Mexico. There, they adopted broad-brimmed hats to protect their sensitive eyes and skin from the sun. Over time, those hats evolved into what we now know as the iconic cowboy hat. Tuberculosis also helped shape immigration patterns. New Mexico's population exploded as sanatoriums promised healing air. Cities like Albuquerque owe part of their growth to this strange legacy. TB even played a role in igniting World War I. Gavrilo Princip, the man who assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand, was only 19 years old and dying of TB. He believed he had nothing to lose. They were all teenagers with TB. They knew they would die. But TB isn't just a historical curiosity. It's a mirror reflecting the structures we build and whom we leave behind. 1/3 of all humans carry TB. Most will never get sick, but those with weak immune systems due to HIV, diabetes, or hunger do. TB walks the trails of injustice we blazed for it. The cure exists, has existed since the 1950s, but it doesn't always reach those who need it. Here's the tragedy. The antibiotics are cheap, but the infrastructure, the diagnostics, the follow-ups, the food support is not. Many countries rely on aid programs that fund drugs, but not meals. And if you're starving, you can't complete the medication. That leads to resistance. That leads to death. Green compares this to building a lifeboat with no floor. Technically functional, but you're going to sink. The disease is where the drugs are not, and the drugs are where the disease is not. Henry's mother, Isatu, fights for him, and for his sister Favor, who also becomes sick. She sells perfume, oil, little necessities. Everything is poured into care. When Favor was diagnosed, she asked her mother, "Will I die like Henry?" Isatu said, "No, Favor, you will live, because I will not rest." Whenever I had money, I invested it in their schooling. There is no future without education. But love doesn't pay for medication. It doesn't cover food or transportation. Green reminds us the line between surviving and slipping away isn't just biological. It's political, it's economic, it's heartbreakingly ordinary. Tuberculosis isn't just an infection, it's an expression of how we value lives, of whose pain gets ignored. TB is not just in the lungs, it's in the systems, the silences, the waiting rooms, the paperwork. Everything is tuberculosis, Green writes, because everything, poverty, neglect, abandonment, is wrapped up in this disease. This is not a metaphor that soothes. It's one that confronts. It asks, if this much suffering is preventable, why don't we prevent it? It is tempting to believe there is nothing we can do, but that is a lie born of privilege. Everything Is Tuberculosis is not a book of answers. It is a book of questions, urgent, tender, and unflinching. This is not a history of despair. It's a call to notice, to care, to remember. This has been Cogito Reads. Like, comment, subscribe, and remember, I read, therefore I think.